Hello, welcome to another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I'm going to take a look at today's puzzle from the Times. This puzzle is very approachable. I'd really encourage those of you who are relatively new to cryptic crosswords, and perhaps the Times cryptic crossword, to spend a bit of time on this, because I think you could finish it. It's not massively hard, and most of the stuff in there is gettable from the clues that are given, without it being too torturous. So what I thought we might do is I'm going to run through some of the outside entries here, which will give a lot of starting letters, and then I might talk about some of the other clues in terms of the general principles involved in solving some of the harder ones, and then really invite you to have a go yourselves, and let us know how you do. One across actually I think is, well, for me it was one of the hardest clues in the puzzle. So let's read it. Palm about to provide cover. Now the way into this is to try and work out which part of the clue is the definition. And there is a hint because we have the words to provide in the middle of the clue. Now often when the setter is looking for a way to link wordplay with the definition, he'll use words like to provide. So he's saying that at the start of the clue, you do your jumbling around, your anagram, or whatever you do, and then that provides an answer, being a word for that means cover. So you can think of other examples than to provide, or you might see gives or giving or creates, things like that. So I could key in that the definition here was probably cover. It doesn't really help, 6 letters. So how does the rest of it work? Well, we're looking for palm about. Well, about we've seen before. There are 2 very short synonyms for about that are well, 2 or 3 actually, that are useful. About could be circa, as in CA. It could be RE, if something is about something else, it's often said to be re it. Or it could just be on, if something's on something, it is about it. So I thought we were probably looking for one of those endings. And then a 4-letter word for a palm at the start. Obviously palm could be, I don't know, palm of your hand. I think more likely it's some sort of tree. Now that always fills me with a bit of fear as well, because there are a lot of types of palm tree. Some of them are quite obscure, and I think ITA is one of them that you see from time to time. So anyway, let's go to 1 down. Have a think about that. If you can get it, fantastic from what I've said. But let's try and get 1 down to give us that first letter. This is easier. A little wood catches fire ultimately. Well, here we're more fortunate because, again, we've talked before about the importance of looking for these expressions like ultimately or at last, or alternatively something hinting at the first letter of a word. But here, fire ultimately should be making you think about the E of the word fire, i.e. the last letter of the word fire. So let's read the rest of it. A little wood catches fire ultimately. So there are 2 possible ways of reading this, I think. One way would be to say that the definition here is a little, and then we need a word for wood that's going to catch, is going to contain the E, being the last letter of fire. That's one possibility. Second possibility is that you're looking for a word that means a little wood, and then you're looking for a word, 4-letter word for catches, followed by the E of fire. Now, the way I got this one was thinking, well, catches, that's a plural, so you're probably looking for that construction. and I could think of a word for a little wood that went in there, and then you back check it. You say, okay, does the 4-letter word I filled in at the start mean catches? Yes, it does. Done. Okay, so let's try. Pause if you need to. The answer is copse. Let's go back to this one. So now we're looking for a 4-letter palm that fits this pattern, ending in either R-E-C-A or O-N to mean a cover. Again, pause if you want to, but the answer is cocoon. To cover is to cocoon something. I don't know why, but I thought that just wasn't the first sort of cover that occurred to me. So well played to the setter on that one. Let's take a look at 15 down. So Lulu longing to entertain married princess. Okay, so I'll tell you how my thought process worked here. Lulu I knew was a word that could mean like a really great example of something. If something's a Lulu, it's a fantastic thing. Longing to entertain married princess. Well, married is very often abbreviated to M, and Princess Di still makes an appearance in the Times crossword every few days. Other princesses you might come across, Ida, I suppose, would be another one to look out for. It's a short princess, but here I was thinking, okay, I'm probably going to have to put MDI into a word that means longing, and it's going to give me a word that means Lulu. Now you may already be able to get that from what I've said already, because how many words contain MDI? Not that many. Again, I'll fill in the first letter and the last. Hopefully that's enough. Pause if you need to, but the answer is Humdinger, with hunger for longing going around the outside. Let's take a look at 4 across. Okay, injured captain who lost control, oddly trendy. And again, I start reading this clue and I worry because, injured, well, could that be an anagram indicator? Goodness knows how many words there are for captain, if you include all of the sort of captains of literature. Captain Hook, the captain who in point here isn't Hook. Captain who lost control, well, lost control again was making me think, oh, anagram. But then finally we get to something helpful, oddly trendy. Now, oddly, I guess, could be an anagram indicator, but much more normally it's indicating, look at the odd letters of something. So I looked at the odd letters of the word trendy, and I got T, E, and D out. And I could immediately see how injured was in the right part of speech. So I was pretty confident we were looking for a word that means injured, that fitted this pattern, with a captain who lost control, whatever that means, at the start. Now, those of you familiar with literature won't find this too difficult. I'll give you a couple of letters. So, mutiny on the Bounty. Captain Bligh lost control of the ship, and blighted means injured. So, there we go. That's a template, I think. That gives you, that should give you enough to get a few answers here. Now I'll just run through some of the others in terms of what the definition is, which will help you. So 2 down, the definition here is movie star. Remember here that the Times will never have as an answer a living person. I think the only living people who are sometimes referred to are the Queen and the Pope. So this is going to be a dead movie star. 3 is the name of a god. Don't need to know more than that. This means polish. And this means somewhere in Kent. Some of you who live in Kent may immediately be able to write in the answer there. This one means faith, and this is a type of soldier. This is a standard double definition, so it means standard and it means snooker balls. This is a musical composition. This is a word that means it follows. This means run. This is something that lies by the fire. And this means excel without a capital letter. This is a word that means old lady. Slightly unusual word for an old lady, but I think that the rest of the clue there is it makes it very likely what the answer will be, even if you aren't familiar with the form of the word in question. This means search far and wide, and this is the sort of clue that you should study and spend time on. This is an anagram, a very gettable anagram, and it means not up to it. This is an unusual clue in that it's this form of clue called an and lit, which means that the whole clue is acting both as the definition and the wordplay to the answer. So we've done a couple of videos that go through this sort of clue in detail, but this is a very simple example, but that's how this clue works. This is the name of an Italian dessert. This was one of my favourite clues in this puzzle actually. What logger may make from trees in ground, because the surface of the clue is so suggestive that you're looking for something to do with woods and trees and cutting up things like that, whereas the thing you need to know to solve this clue is that ground can be an anagram indicator. So if you grind something, you destroy it in a sense. So you need to think about that. And the answer means what logger may make, but definitely not in the sense of somebody who's cutting up trees. This means calmly submissive, and this means savage. This was a simple double definition. This is the hidden that you'll find in every Times crossword, so that one should certainly be very gettable. This is the name of a US president. And this is the name of one of Quincy's playmates. And that's a reference to Midsummer Night's Dream. So it's still gettable, even if you aren't familiar with the play, because it's an anagram. So don't worry about that. This means bottle, and again it's a literary reference. You need to, to be certain of the answer, you need to know the name of I'm not sure if it's a book or a play by Bertolt Brecht, but again it's not too difficult. It's very straightforward synonym for bottle in the sense of nerve. This is an anagram and it means military assessment. And this is an anagram as well, and it means area taken up. I think that's everything. No, maybe that one, that's a double definition. This is just two words in the clue. So a slightly different format today. I'm hoping that encourages people to have a go at the puzzle. And let us know how you get on, and we'll see you again tomorrow on Cracking the Cryptic.